Ice with you here, bringing you that time I got reincarnated as a slime anime review. This was episode 17 titled The Gathering. Now this was a very intriguing episode. We had massive story progression and setup, and we get to discover some more things. It begins with Rimuru going into the cave where Dr. Vista is trying to produce those potions, and he actually succeeded in breaking the limit of the regular potion making, and he was actually able to duplicate and make the same kind of a potion as Rimuru. And they got very happy, because what they want to do is now they want to start selling potions, so that way the dwarf kingdoms don't have to sell them, and what they can do is they can just gather the material for them, and then they can make it, and then they can give it back for selling. That way that money and that cooperation can get spread out throughout the kingdoms of both the Jura Foundation and Jura Tempest Foundation, which is what Rimuru is under, and what the King of the Dwarves is under, his city as well. So that was some good stuff, because, you know, those potions were really rare. But thanks to Rimuru's power and what they're making and the cooperations of the dwarves and the rest of the science, they could not actually produce these rare potions over and over again. You know, the only way they had it at the first was Rimuru had to make it with him. The only way they could make these potions before, if you remember, is that only Rimuru can make them from his body. But there was no specific way to like how to produce them and constantly make them. But thanks to Vesta and this work, now they can make them and sell them. So, you know, they left the cave with Rimuru and Kaju, and there was an explosion in town. So Rimuru turned into his human form with the bat wings, and he speeded up, and he went over there to check out what was going on. And we see Vanguard on his knees, facing down, and when Rimuru went up to him, he smiled at Rimuru and was like, "Oh, don't worry, this is just a flesh wound." And basically he had like all this in his cheek, invented in like flames, like somebody like hit him with like a fireball in his face. And we find out that the person that did this to him was part of a scout unit for Carrion, one of the other demon lords. But unfortunately, this guy, for punching Vanguard in the face, he got punched. And the person who did this, of course, was Melum. She basically got upset that, you know, one of her besties, subordinates, got hit by somebody, so she took out her anger on that person who did this. And Rimuru was still there, and he's on the floor just, you know, foaming from the mouth, and his subordinates are just looking at him out of sadness. And she went up to Rimuru and she's like, "I took care of the problem." And she looked at him with a smile, and Rimuru entered a dialogue with himself saying, "She wants me to praise her for what I did, but should I really be praising her for what she did?" And yeah, he's thinking to himself, should I? And he ends up not praising her for what she did, and he told her, "You know, you were wrong for attacking. There was another way you could have handled the situation and stuff like that. So your punishment is going to be no lunch for you." And she got really upset, and she went to the guy, and she put like the aura in her face. She's like, "Because of you, man, I get no lunch." And she was about to start beating him again. But Rimuru, you know, he paused it and gave her lunch anyway to calm her down. Earlier than expected, but she got her way. And then they overhear the guy, and they started talking to him. And he, you know, he states of his unit, they were chosen to come here and investigate the place and see what's going on, because the demon lord they're under, which, like I said, it's I'm probably butchering his name, so forgive me, but it's Karan, I believe it was pronounced. So, you know, Karan's men basically, they told Rimuru, "You know, you're a slime, we don't have to respect you, blah blah blah." But then Melum, she kept on releasing this like demonic aura, looking at them, so they got scared and they calmed down. And we had this 5-minute moment where she did that again, and Rimuru turned around and she just went back to eating, all cutesy and stuff, like she ain't do nothing wrong. So it was funny. But when they left, he looked at Melum and he was like, "I'm not gonna forgive you for this." And Rimuru was like, "The message that I just gave him, I highly doubt if he's gonna pass it on to his boss." So he went to Melum and he asked her, "Since you're my bestie and we're besties, can you give me information on the other demon lords?" And she was like, "Sorry, I can't. We're not allowed to interfere with each other's business." And then Rimuru in the dialogue with himself again, he was like, "Wait a minute, she just gave it away." So there is an inner secret between them. So since she has that cute little girl personality, he started poking her and teasing her, and he was like, we're besties, and besties help each other out, and besties do things for each other. So if you help me, I make you a new weapon. And the instant she heard new weapon, she went ballistic, and she was like, "Ooh, new weapon!" So she basically spilled the beans on the other demon lords and their names and stuff like that. And we got a couple of different name drops here. Besides Karan, we got her name is Tyr, the other clown chick that's with Lepers, and Lepers is the first clown that we saw before who was with Grimard. We got Clayman, Frey, one is called Footman. So we got a couple of name drops. Even though Footman and Tyr are not really demon lords, but they work under demon lords, and their name were dropped as well. But the point, being is that now he has all the information and he knows what demon lords' names are and what their plans and objective seemingly is. Not fully, but at least he knows their name and what they're about. Thanks to Melon. And he gave her more food and the weapon he promised and stuff. And then we switched over to the demon lord with the white tux, and he's talking to Tyr, one of the clown people that was named, and she was like giving him information on Freya, or Frey, I believe her name is, and she told Carrie about Frey doesn't seem to be interested in the Jorah Forest or the slime. She's interested in something else, and she said it's more like she's preparing for battle. And Carrion is like, he's like, do you know what it is? And she was like, yeah. Supposedly, as you see in the thumbnail, the revival of a monster named Charbitis, if I'm pronouncing it right. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, but Charbitis is supposed to be revived again. And this got him kind of shook, Karan, and supposedly he stated that this thing is supposed to be greater than a demon lord, so, but how much, who knows, but that was stated, and he basically sent her off on a mission to, like, gather information and locate where his burial site is at, so, and then she left, and that was basically the end of the episode, but this is very interesting episodes. We got name drops, we got more characters. We also met somebody, I forgot to mention this, but they also met someone named Yom. He was with a group of humans, the three adventurers and their teacher who wanted to come here to check out on Rimuru. And basically Rimuru did discuss he wanted to make a pact with them, which was very interesting. And Yom, he basically told Yom, if you join me, I will not just pay you, but I will also tell people that you're the one who defeated the champion. And basically Yom accepted because he saw how this place was happy, it was new, and everyone got along. And the reason why he took this mission in the first place is because he was going to lie to the person that he's working under and pretend him and his people died so they could find a new country to go to and live peacefully. Or live, period, basically. And Yom seems to be an interesting character. We actually get to see a little bit of his fighting. We almost saw him fighting, but we did get to see his ability, and his ability is very unique. Cause I like people with this type of ability. His ability was foresight. And he's able to see into a glimpse into the future, and he saw what was going to attack them and from what angle and who they were running after. So, but it was nice to see those three adventurers again as well, and their teacher. The teacher made them take him to Rimuru because he wanted to see if Rimuru was evil or not. Because if he was evil, they was going to assassinate him. So that was a good thing. Again, though, Yom and his people, they human, so they probably not OP, but since they are now under Rimuru and they training under Hagari, they are most likely going to get very strong, especially Yom, because they're trying to build Yom into a champion. So they basically trying to make him like that one dude from Overlord, the guy that, spoiler alert, but the guy that Ainz killed, the one that he met in the beginning, the champion with the big sword. I forget his name, but he's very well known around the world. as a champion. They basically trying to make Yom like him in their realm. They're trying to make him into a champion and make him known, and they're gonna give him the credit for defeating the old demon lord, the bull one, the orc lord. They're gonna give that credit to him because nobody really knows who did it. Nobody even barely knows that he existed. People knew his army existed, but they didn't know what army existed that actually killed him. So they're gonna say Yom and his people did it. So that way, if they get the credit and they find out that Rimmervu assisted in this, because that's gonna be the story and the rumor that's going to be spread, it'll help out both factions. And they only decided to go with this because they got the approval that the Dwarf King did make a treaty with Rimmervu. So at least he got 2 more allies. He got the group teacher of those students, the 3 adventurers. He got him, and he got Yom and his people. So that's 2 people on. That's 2 treaties right there, technically, in one shot. And we did get a map earlier in the episode showing us of the different towns and where the Jura Forest is. The Jura Forest is actually a pretty big forest that's in this like squat middle of the map, surrounded by all the other nations. So Rimmervu's gonna have a whole bunch of nations around him. So hopefully he can try to befriend most of them. I believe that's technically that's where he's going with this. But again, episode 17 of That Time I Got Reincarnated as Slime. Great episode, great story work, world building, and great story progression. I'm happy about Yom. I can't wait to see more of his character. Cause I love characters with ability of either magic or anything or future sight. So characters under that type of category, like I'm really attracted to those type of characters. So knowing that he can see into the glimpse of the future and he's being trained to be the champion of Rimmervu's people, that's going to be very interesting, especially because he's human. So to see that interaction between the beast people, the demons, and the humans, that's going to be very interesting to watch. But that's all I have for you guys. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Share with your family and friends, and please hit the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload. And don't forget to tell me down below what you thought of the episode, and don't give me too much spoilers on different names. If you want to tell me names of different characters, if I pronounce them wrong and how to pronounce them, and give me a little glimpse information for those who read the manga and the light novel, who this Charadis is. Don't tell me everything, but just give me like a glimpse, synopsis on them, but not too much spoilers. And yeah, and have a good one, guys. Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter. I'm usually on my Twitter a lot. That's constantly like my main social site that I'm on, the only one really. So you'll catch me there a lot. So I'm usually active. So if y'all want to share or post something there, I'm most likely gonna listen to it because I'm on my Twitter. But that link for that will be down below as well. But have a good one, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.